When you've got a lot of lambs, you use a heat wave machine.
Yeah, yeah.
So how many lambs would you have per teat for that?
So per teat, I try and put 4 or 5 lambs max, so they're not competing too much for that teat. So we tend to have little pens of like a 6 by 4 foot hurdle, a bit like what you'd have for lambing pens. And then as they get a bit older, we put them the batches together because obviously they have less demand as in per hour for that teat, and they'll have a bigger feed less regularly, if that makes sense.
So, so in your larger pens, you'd be looking at around sort of like 8 to 10
Yeah,
lambs per
yeah,
teat.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. And what would be your cleaning regime of that? Sort of changing the teats every day.
So for the heat wave, every morning we have a special chemical. It's not bleach, but it's like a bleach-like chemical that we put through the system to make sure it's all cleaned out. Else the fat out of the milk builds up and it's not nice. And then same again with the teat, swapping them regularly every day and just making sure that there's a good quality feed to the lambs. We don't want them to run out of milk, so making that every 12 hours and just refilling as we go and making sure that they've got that milk they need.
Excellent. And when just a few more questions on the heat wave. When you're putting them onto the ad-lib machine, I assume you're making sure that they're full so they don't gorge on the
Yeah,
teat.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that's the one thing we've tried really hard not to do, and that's put hungry lambs onto ad-lib feed because obviously they gorge and then they end up with bloat, and then normally disasters happen. So the main thing is making sure the lamb is fit and healthy and full up before they go onto that ad-lib feed.
Okay. Um, so you have a slightly different weaning protocol, I'd say, to a lot of farmers.
Yeah,
So I'd say farmers with big bunches would usually wean around 35 days or when they're
yeah,
eating around 300 grams of creep. But you
yeah,
keep yours indoors, don't you, before you turn them out?
yeah. We've done a bit of a trial. We've put them outside within a week of them being weaned, and then we've left it a couple of weeks. But we found leaving them inside on hay and creep for about 4 weeks before putting them out just means that they get a bit more stable on hard feed before you putting them out to the conditions. Um, it's just what we've found that works well for us. I know there's horses for courses for different farms, but I found that works best for us. Keep them in on hay, creep, and water, not forgetting, for about a month after they're weaned. So until they're about 12 weeks old, and then put them out. And then we have even had lambs that have been nearly ready to go at that stage. Some of the Suffolk crosses, they absolutely fly.
What would you say your average daily gain would be for the lambs?
Normally, everything up to that 12-week mark. This last year was 330, and I think the Cades were just behind. So I think they're about 280. But for us, that's been the normal daily live weight gain of lambs in years gone past. We're well happy if they're achieving that compared to the normal lambs. Like you can have Cades that just seem to don't grow. So to have them growing that well, we're extremely happy with how they perform.